Michael Hughes. I had the pleasure of rowing with Chris for a long time. So I'd like to say hi. It is an honour to talk about Chris, but unfortunately everyone would know that if Michelle Blake asks you to do something, you cannot refuse. You have to do it. She will hound you down. So I'd just like to say that I don't want anyone to fact check what I'm about to say, because there's no guarantees in the accuracy of this statement. Basically, a lot has been recently said. For those who sort of attended or watched the memorial service, who's part of the ANA club, they've sort of they've come to understand the history of the life of Chris Hayes. But I'm particularly going to focus on the rowing part. So I first met Chris when I turned 40. I moved to the Bayswater area and I wandered down to the ANA Rowing Club just to sort of see what the vibe was. I think the first person I met was Chris, and I believe, and don't fact check this, but I think he was captain of boats back then. Anyway, typical Chris, he was very accommodating, and we went out for a row pretty much that day. I believe we took out a pair because I'm originally from Tasmania, so I know nothing about sculling. But when we went out, it was a short, really comfortable row, and we got on. We hit it off straight away, which was absolutely lovely. So needless to say, I stayed at ANA. I suppose in reflection, I was talking to Andrew Roberts, who many of you know, and we sort of realised that, probably interacted with Chris for about a quarter of his life, about a third of our lives, but it felt so much longer than that. So I'm going to talk about three particular races particularly. The first was a D to J double in the 2010 State Masters Championships. And it was sort of quite interesting because Chris actually mentioned it when we visited him earlier in the year, so it was really nice. Chris not only brought a smooth rowing technique and a youthful enthusiasm, but he also brought a very useful handicap, which is fantastic when you're racing. We started off first and we had a good start in 10. So we totaled 13 strokes. And then I hear Chris breathlessly say behind me, "I've got nothing left." So unfortunately, we've got 900 metres to go. However, with his usual dogged determination, we hung on. And we crossed the line first by about 3 to 4 lengths. Please don't fact check that. It was never one to give up the fight, basically, was Chris. The second race, I could not determine the date. Somebody might know the date here. But ANA entered a rather eclectic men's 8. Wouldn't be the first and only time. They had a sprinkling of both youths. We had 2 young scholars from Guildford Grammar. And the rest of the experienced crew was made up of elder statesmen from the ANA Master Squad. Again, the rowing WA handicappers were very kind to us. Chris was sat immediately behind me, providing support for the longest flat water head race in Australia, which everyone would be aware of. We were having a row in very favourable conditions. Fortunately, Hugh Bond, who was also on the crew, he confirmed that it was flat water, so thank you, Hugh. So we're having a good race, but we could see the men's A grade 8 fast approaching us. As we continued to make inroads to crews in front of us that had an even better handicap. As we approached the finish line, the crew was getting a bit on edge. Swans were shortening the gap quickly. Chris, rowing behind me, was constantly providing a calming influence to the whole crew. Even after a bit of a wobble, we passed a racing single, but we finally got over the line. Needless to say, we beat Swannies. Some say by half a boat length, some say by half a canvas in the old language, but I think it was more likely half a bow ball. But we won the race. Feathers never tasted so good, and ANA members would understand what that means. As always, Chris was cool in a crisis, always had a glass half full approach, and a never say die attitude. The third and final race I want to talk about was when Chris was a coach. He was coaching a motley bunch of men's ANA Masters rowers for the 2019 Head of the Yarra race. The race was very memorable. We started as a back marker. I think we made a bit of a mistake there. But anyway, we started as a back marker. And we went on to pass 13 boats. Now I'm calling that a record. Hopefully those will agree with me. No fact checking, please. Ultimately, we finished fourth. We were seconds behind all the three crews in front of us, which is no mean feat. We're rowing against ex-Olympians. You look at it, there's still one under review for the last 7 years. So, yeah. But we placed fourth. I thought it was third. But anyway, we were rowing against ex-Olympians, somebody called Anthony and Tompkins. Those names will probably be familiar to all here. The result was a testament not only to Kay's amazing coxing ability on the day, but also Chris's ability to bring the best out of the crew. So Chris coached the boat and not the individual, and everyone would be aware of that. It was about bringing everyone along for the journey. He was technical, but he also liked to keep things simple. He always wanted to race or train over the distance so that we're never intimidated by the race distance. So keeping it simple. Chris prepared us well, and it might have even been a better result if we didn't finish as a back marker, because I remember we crashed with a boat on Big Bend, so I'm sure that would have made all the difference. Chris went on to build a reputation as a wonderful and supportive rowing coach, both with the ANA Moles, I think some of those girls are here, and the WA State Women's Masters crew. Numerous Perth College students made a point of saying that Chris not only developed a connection with their daughters, but he also had a really positive effect, a long-term effect on the way that they took on life. Along Chris's rowing journey, both my daughters were very fortunate to benefit from his amazing prowess, both directly and indirectly. To sum up, Chris was a great rower, a great coach, great captain, and above all, a great bloke. He was admired and respected by all that knew him. Can we raise the glass? To Chris.
Na 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 na. Hey, hey,
Three cheers for Chris. Hip hip.
hey,
Hip hip.
hey,
Hip hip.
hey.
If anyone's got any anecdotes they want to share about Chris, please reach out. Good on you, Phil.
We had Chris Hayes coach us over a number of years for the Yarra in our mixed eight, and my memories of him are him sitting on that jetty over there with his notebook at the end of the coaching session. He had a page for every rower,
Heads.
and he made notes after every session. And we went to 2015 Head of the Yarra, and we started off in third off the line. We got past the first two crews within 3 kilometres, and we had clear water from them to finish, and we won. Same year, the girls won the ladies' event in a record time, I believe. And then we went back in 2017, also with Chris, and did it again. So yeah, I do have memories. Yeah, absolutely.
Good on you, Phil.
I get very shy about these things. All I know is I got in trouble once with Chris. He was very particular about putting your name down the night, well in time for the crew the next day. And I was very late, and I got the yay! I was like, oh my God! And it was because he was such a mild character. I never thought that I would get in trouble. But he coached the state crew that Kathy, myself, and Claire were in, and we got a silver. And he only had a month to do it, and he pulled it together really, really well. So we'll always remember that. It was a fun time at the end.
Chris not only coached the elite amongst us, he coached the ragtag amongst us. So we
Thank you, Laurie.
You're the tag on the rag, don't you? So there was a four. So myself, Rob, Stu, Alec, and so he basically put us into the B category of race. So that's over 2,000 metres. And there were people who were saying, "What are you doing? They're going to look like fools." We were up against the WA State Masters 4, and I think there was another 4 that had some Olympians in it. So there was a little bit at stake, but he had confidence in us. No, we didn't win. But if you look at the end of the race, the distance between the beeps from the first to the fourth, there was only about 4 seconds in it. We did okay, and he had faith. So that was what Chris was all about.
I think Chris was one of those people who just got people, and he got life. But one of the things we used to talk about was the technical side of things, because we were both designers. He was architectural and I'm civil and structural. But with technique, he used to say that golf was so much like the rowing stroke. And I used to play golf as well, so I know what he was talking about. But I used to say it's so much like horse riding, equestrian. So he said, "Yeah, I'm going to write a book about that. There's a connection." And only Chris could get that. But so, yeah, I think he was just an amazing person with technique, and his delivery to people was just absolutely spot on. Yeah. Chris. Chris.
Rightio, we got a drink to Chris. To Chris.
To Chris.
Well done, Mark.
1, 2, 3. Chris. Chris.